Hello again, class. What we're going to do in this video is I'm going to introduce you to all the different nuts and bolts of our first Unit 1 and 2 projects. In addition to that, I will be running down through the rubrics so that you have an idea as to the standard that I'm going to grade you. Oftentimes with these projects, students tend to come back and be dissatisfied with their grade, and they'll say, but I worked so hard. And I'll say, well, that's great. I believe that you guys did work hard. However, many of you did not meet the standard. So I'll talk about both of those. In later videos, I'll also discuss the expectations for the delivery guidelines as well as the collaboration guidelines so that you know the resources that are available to you. Alright, so on to the project. What you're going to do is this is the main menu as you log into Schoology. Obviously, you want to select our AP US History class. After you've done that, you're going to go to Materials. You can either click the drop-down menu or the Materials button. Then select Unit 1. Then from Unit 1, you'll go to the Unit 1-2 project. And then you'll have the rubric set out right here so that you understand the expectations, the amount of points for the different sections. And then finally down here at the bottom you'll have the PDF with all the different guidelines. You can either download it or you can just view it from right here. Now, here's what the main idea of the prompt is, and we've worked on a little bit about, or we will work on prompt identification and how to approach these questions so that we can answer them and make our argument in a very systematic and academic way. But before we do that, I just wanted to lay this out here because what the goal is this project is going to be due on Friday, October 4th. That's when we're going to each deliver these. Now, everybody must be there the day of the delivery. If in fact you find a reason, or there for one reason or another you are not there, then the expectation is that you're going to arrange, you're going to have 1 week to arrange makeup time, and you by yourself will deliver the entire presentation to Mr. Compton privately. Alright, so the prompt is, working with your groups, evaluate North American pre-American Revolutionary War to determine the 5 most significant developments. Then deliver your evaluation class in 6 minutes with a Prezi visual aid. We'll work on using Prezi visual aids, and I'm going to be very strict on the 6 minutes. You must be concise with your argument. Just as we need to be good with analysis and constructing and finding the appropriate evidence, we need to be very good with being concise, because as we know on the AP test at the end of the year, you're not going to have a lot of time. Alright, so moving on. You have to determine the 5 most important developments using this list that is provided for you right here. You can't go outside of this list. So obviously, in order to determine what your list is, you need to be familiar with each of these different terms. These are all the different terms that you'll find on the AP at the end of the year. What this will do is this will develop a deeper understanding for exactly what you're going to be learning about for the class. And then you need to demonstrate that mastery. Alright, so maybe this will give you a little bit more of direction as well as focus when you're reading for your weekly readings in terms of what are some of the important things as well as maybe the not as important things. Alright, so now what exactly do you need to have within the presentation to meet the different guidelines that I've set out? So here is the different, this is the rundown of the different content that you need to be focused on. First, the content is going to be worth 20 points of your score, and the delivery is going to be worth 10 points of your score. So the first part that you have to do is you have to use and identify one of the Cracking the AP argument structures that's been laid out in the Cracking the AP textbook. You can find them on both page 32 and 33. You simply just need to say which one you're going to be using and then actually follow through and use it. As you see, the point value is listed right here. Next, you need to have a clear position with 3 main supporting ideas / groups. Now, it must take a strong position and it must address the prompt. If you don't do this, then your whole argument is going to fall apart right at the get-go. Alright, secondly, you must identify at least 2 of the course themes the topic is encompassed, or the topic has encompassed. So, are you discussing events that deal with ideas, the peopling of the United States, and we've talked about this theme briefly, the beliefs, the culture, the environment, geography in the United States and the world? Which theme do your 5 elements connect to? And you need to explain that connection briefly. Again, this should not take you very long, this section. Now, this is the meat and the potatoes of your actual argument. You need to have your position substantiated with adequate and reliable historical evidence. It must agree with the position. If it contradicts it, then I'll act like that evidence never existed. I'll use acid-based scoring, and you won't get credit for those particular examples. So, you need to have a brief summary that accurately introduces the event or the development. So say, for example, maybe that development is the Great Awakening right here. You introduce what is the Great Awakening, and then you proceed to explain as to how that piece of evidence is substantiating the top one of the top 5 developments in United States history prior to the Revolution. Alright, next you need to have at least 3 primary sources to defend your position as to why these are the most important. So these can come from a variety of resources. We have primary document resources links available to you. If you need to find some other ideas, you can come approach Mr. Compton. He can give you some ideas of different websites where you can find something reliable. The next part is you must acknowledge the point of view and its impact on the document. This is referring specifically to those primary documents. So with each primary document you say this is the individual that has delivered this document and that's the impact on the document. So maybe, for example, we might have discussed that priests, they are supposed to be an honest order of individuals, and so therefore most of the time you will be able to assume the validity of what they're saying. Of course, it depends on a couple other things, but that's something to keep in mind. Alright, the next thing is that you have to have a clear cause and effect explanation that conveys analysis about how the evidence actually supports the position. This is very, very complex. We'll go over this a few times in class. But what I mean by a clear cause and effect explanation that conveys the analysis is that you need to explain how maybe the Great Awakening paved the way to something in the future that led to the development of something else that's significant. Alright, and maybe you want to defend that using some of this primary source material. So it's kind of like a sequence, it's a chain of how A, the Great Awakening, led to B, and then B led to the American Revolution. Right? Maybe that's not the case, but you see how that cause and effect chain substantiates why the Great Awakening was so significant in its historical development. Alright, so that is the main content of the project. The next video will focus primarily on the delivery of this. If you have any questions, make sure that you come in and see Mr. Compton either during his office hours or in class. Make sure that you use the opportunities that he affords at the beginning of the hour to ask questions. Alright, thank you very much, and I will see you shortly in the next video.